Nothing Personal starts in 30 seconds. It's just business. This is Nothing Personal.
Here you go.
Bleeds. That's the Nothing Personal word of the day. It is Friday, May 9th, 2025. We made it. Well, many of us made it. Derek Shelton did not. We have our first firing, our first prediction only from May 1st, when we told you that someone would be fired in Major League Baseball during the month of May. Thought it would be Brandon Hyde. We may get a twofer, but for now, the Pittsburgh Pirates have made the decision to fire Derek Shelton, and the statements have been special. Now, the reason we have bleeds as our word of the day is I have never been a big fan of the concept of bleeding team colors. I've seen blood, mostly my own, and it's always red. I've actually seen Don Kelly's blood, and I know it's not black and gold. But Bob Nutting would like you to believe that this is the dawn of a new age. What it is the end of another week of so much Pirates material that it's almost hard for me to fathom. I think we need a break. I think there has to be a period of time where we don't talk about the Pirates, where they actually just try to win a couple games, where they try to have a normal moment. Bob Nutting must have been fuming watching all the negativity, realizing that he was before the break on Nothing Personal myriad times. So he thought to himself, what can I do to really show the fans that I care? Not that I'm interested in money or interested in low payrolls or interested in getting rid of bricks or interested in not worrying about fans. What can I do? Calls over his GM, Ben Cherington, and says, Benny boy, we are 12-26. We are 10 games behind the Chicago Cubs in our National League Central Division. We hired a manager way back in November of 2019, and he is one of the losingest? Is that a word? Sheldon, help me. He is one of the ready? 4869. Hi, David Samson. Check. I'm good to go. Derek Shelton has lost the most games since 2020 than anyone in baseball other than the Rockies and the Nationals. That's it. Derek Shelton has lost 440 games. He will not have a chance to lose 441 as a Pirate. So Nutting gets together with Cherington and says, what do you think of our team? Do you like Skeens? Well, he's a number one. You think we got a chance with Keller? Oh, he's good. Do you think Reynolds will start hitting? We signed him to a big deal. Why don't the fans remember they demanded us that we signed Brian Reynolds? We did, and now he stinks. We got all sorts of possibilities. What about this season, Ben? Can we recover? And the GM says what the GM always says, which is, of course, Mr. Nutting. Why would you think we can't recover? Because I know once you fire the manager, I'm next. I don't have another chance. I've got one more possibility. So, Bob, tell me what you think we should do. Oh, I think we got to fire the manager. Okay. Who do we replace him with? This is a good one. Well, we've got a guy right there on the bench. Now, he's not responsible for what's happened. He's only the bench coach. The bench coach isn't responsible. It's the manager. The bench coach doesn't have the power. He's in the coach's room with the first base coach and the bullpen coordinator. It's the manager. We need a new voice. We need someone committed to Pittsburgh. We need someone who bleeds black and gold. I couldn't, in all of the releases I did for new managers, I never said he bleeds teal and orange and red and magenta and yellow and green and blue and indigo and violet. Bob Nutting actually said Donnie is as respected, the new manager, Don Kelly, who, by the way, was a Marlin. We had him as a player. Real fans of the Marlins will remember Don Kelly as a Marlin. And you'll remember that Don Kelly's time with the Marlins came to an end when we had to bring D. Gordon back after his steroid suspension. The conversation was, yeah, we're going to add D to the roster. All right, who we designating? All right, Don. It's been a nice little run. Don Kelly, really good guy. But having seen him, I can tell you he doesn't bleed black and gold. But Bob Nutting will tell you he's as respected as any person in our clubhouse and throughout our organization. I'm not sure there's a lot of people in the organization who know the bench coach. That said, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the people in ticketing and the people in marketing that they've got a very tight relationship with Don. And Don, this is not about you. This is about when you are being unveiled, when a bench coach is promoted to manager during the season, because that's the best that the GM can come up with, because they can't go outside the organization. They've got too many plays to learn. It's too difficult to come in from outside the organization. You got to learn the names of the players, for crying out loud. So you just bring the bench coach in, and you bring in the bench coach for the interview and say, hey, Donnie, can you do this? I don't want to, I'm very loyal to Derek Shelton. I've been here for a number of years, but if you ask me, I'm going to say yes. Do you know what a bench coach does when they're about to be promoted to be the manager? When your manager is being fired, they call their manager and they say, so Don, I'll bet you dollars to donuts, because it happens 100% of the time. Don, before accepting to be manager, calls up Derek and says, hey, what do you think? And the manager who's being fired always says the same thing. Man, I'm so happy for you. Good luck. I'm here for you. Call me anytime. Then they never talk again. So Donnie, who is well respected, was more than happy to step in. Why wouldn't you? You get a chance to be a manager. It's the dream of anyone. There's only 30 jobs. You wouldn't say no out of loyalty to your manager. So Derek Shelton gone, Donnie Kelly in. And we don't need to establish, I guess, that he's respected by everyone in the clubhouse and the organization. I'm not sure that's going to be the deciding factor with whether or not fans and media are happy with this change. But what we'll hear from Bob Nutting is that he bleeds black and gold. No one is more committed, and no one loves this team or city more than Donnie. It's my favorite, because I would never say it because it's such ridiculous hyperbole. Nobody loves Pittsburgh more than Don Kelly. Nobody loves the team. My rule was a very simple rule, that we would never say that, because we needed people to think that the owner is the one who loves the team more than anyone. So if I'm saying no one, that means that I had a manager for 5 years. Our team didn't perform. We have the longest postseason drought other than the Anaheim Angels of Los Angeles. And we were being led by someone who doesn't love the city or the team as much as his bench coach. Think about the idiocy of saying something like that. It doesn't make people look at you and say, what a great leader you are, Bob Nutting. No, it makes you look foolish. Don Kelly, Nutting continued, is the right person to manage our team and help us back on track. So I would like to tell you that managerial changes can help a team, maybe, and can lead to increased performance sometimes. Has nothing to do with whether the manager loves the city, knows the clubhouse, loves the clubhouse. The only time it ever worked for me is when we brought in a guy who didn't know anything about the city, couldn't name a player. It's a good one. It really is a good one. Let's talk about timing. Timing is rough when you fire your manager. Now, it's May 9th. It's good that you get to say that we have an opportunity to turn this around. We're not giving up on this season. Dude, you're 12-26. You have no chance. None. I would assume, Coca, that under all the simulations, the likelihood of the Pirates making the playoffs is approximately 0.1% higher than 0.0. If I were to fashion a guess, it would be around 0.1, even with Skeens. But that said, you make this change now because you say to yourself, we got plenty of time. We can tell everyone we're doing something. We're trying to turn it around. Problem. You got to look at your schedule. Pittsburgh's next 9 games are against the Braves, the Mets, and the Phillies. Now, it's not that there's any patsies in the schedule, but there's a couple teams that you got to believe you've got a good chance. And let me run this one by you. Coca, help me out here, because I'll bet you $1 that Paul Skeens is not pitching tonight. And I'm going to learn from you, Matt. You told me that I can look during a show and I can try to remember that I'm allowed to take a minute. I can take a breath and I can go to Friday's schedule. Pirates. Oh, God, this is good. It's even better than I thought. Do you know who's starting for the Pirates in Don Kelly's first game managing? He's really good. I'm not going to lie to you. His name is TBD. No. If you're going to fire your manager, you do it when Skeens is pitching the next game so you can get your first win, get it under your belt. People can think that everything's going great. No, we got a TBD. All right. Oh, this is good. Do you know who's pitching on Saturday for the Pirates? TBD. Back-to-back TBDs. Oh, no, the whole weekend is TBD. Maybe they're thinking that Kelly, all right, now we got to go back. We have to go back now, Coca, to see when Skeens last pitched, because I think we may have brought it up. I want to say it was sometime late in the week. Coca's losing his patience. He's had it. You don't fire a manager when you're about to face the Braves with a TBD. $313 million does not get you what it used to. $313 million is supposed to buy you loyalty. It's supposed to buy you performance. It's supposed to buy you cooperation. It's not supposed to buy you tsuris. Rafael Devers. I want to go back to the signing of that $313 million contract with $75 million deferred that was signed in 2023. I want to go back to the absolute lunacy that was Red Sox fans who were so furious with John Henry saying, if you don't sign Devers, we are never going to talk to you again. You let Mookie Betts go, and now you've got to sign Devers. And so they did, out of total peer pressure, and they gave him $313 large. Now they did defer $7.5 million a year for 10 years, but that's not good enough. So Devers is a third baseman, below average third baseman. The Red Sox are not performing well in the first year of his contract of the 10-year 313. Then they sign Alex Bregman, and preseason we do an entire segment on nothing personal because Rafael Devers has made it clear, I will not move from third base. Of course, a few weeks later, he had a coming to Francis moment when he said, oh, all right, I'll be DH. So Bregman's playing third, not as great. The Red Sox are doing slightly better this year. They're not in last place. They're in second place. They're 1 game over, 2 games back. Now, we told you that there was a problem at first base. Casas gets hurt, ruptures his patellar tendon, and the Red Sox are looking for a first baseman. Here's an idea. Third baseman move to first base all the time. Normal. Very easy to do. And I'm not yucking on the great defensive first baseman. Derek Lee, you are a magician. The greatest defensive first baseman I ever saw. Apologies to you, Keith. You were really good too. All of that said, having Devers play first base makes a ton of sense because having a person at DH who has no flexibility, no ability to play the field, it actually hurts you. And you're going to say Ohtani, you're going to say Stanton, you're going to say Papi. Fine. I'm telling you, when you're putting together a team, you want flexibility. You're going to say Edgar. I'm still going to say fine. So Devers was approached apparently by Craig Breslow, another former Marlin, Yale Bulldog, and was asked, hey, would you play first base? And when you're making $313 million and you're not really performing and neither is your team, you would say to your general manager, hell yeah, whatever you want. I'm here for you. Instead, what Devers said is, no thanks. I'm not really interested in playing first base. These conversations happen privately. You call the player into the manager's office, you sit, GM, president, player. Sometimes you speak to the agent when you're doing a position change, but you speak to the player and you say, listen, we're going to give you whatever reps you need, but come out early tomorrow. We're going to do infield and we're going to take a couple of days, for the better players. We had Miguel Cabrera catch one fly ball during BP and said, you're good to play left field, to have fun. There are times when you move players around the infield. I believe Jazz Chisholm was moved from second base to outfield on a Tuesday and then over to third base on a Thursday. It's doable. I'm not yucking on Rawlings and their gold gloves, Stevie. I'm just saying it's doable. Devers, however, after this private meeting, did something that we don't tolerate as a front office. You cannot tolerate someone who calls out the front office in public. We do not air our dirty laundry in front of you. We never wanted to because, like many relationships, we want you to think everything's okay. The reason why we keep all the screaming matches into the clubhouse, don't want any fights in the dugout, don't want any sort of issue is because when you see people fighting, it makes you feel uncomfortable. It makes you feel like they're not in control. It makes you feel like they can't be leaders. It's like many, many marriages. People choose to fight in their bedroom, and outside they have this aura of, oh, everything's perfect, when in fact bubbling underneath, it's like Ghostbusters 2. It's like smoldering, boiling crap. Devers went bananas yesterday. He has more quotes about the fact that he won't play first base. And then it got worse. He said about his own GM, I'm not certain what issue Craig Breslow has with me. He played ball, and I would like to think he knows that changing positions like that isn't easy. Now, they should do their jobs, essentially, and hit the market and look for another player. I'm not sure why they want me to be an in-between. Next thing you know, someone in the outfield gets hurt, and they want me to play in the outfield. I know the kind of player I am, and that's where I stand. Wow. So then he even went further to disclose what happened in the meeting, because he obviously told Craig Breslow and likely Sam Kennedy, hey, I really don't feel like changing. And then it was told to him by Alex Cora and maybe Sam and Craig, dude, please, we need your help here. So then Devers goes public and says, they told me that I'm a little hard-headed, but they already asked me to change positions once. This time, I don't think I can be as flexible. I don't feel they stayed true to their word. They told me I'm going to play this position DH. Now they're going back on that. No. There's not one part of that statement from Rafael Devers that makes me want to do anything than release him or trade him and pray to God that someone will take his money, knowing that when you mark his contract to market, it ain't close. There is not a team in baseball, not one of 29 teams, who would take Devers' contract, no trade clause or not. He is overpaid. The reality is that when you know that you have pulled one over and gotten a contract that you didn't deserve and your performance reflects that fact, but your contract doesn't, you'd be best to just say thank you, whatever you need. But doubling down and going public is a disgrace, and Devers should be ashamed of himself. And if the Red Sox do not hold him accountable, they have lost the clubhouse. Because you can bet your sweet bippy that there are professionals in that Red Sox clubhouse who look at a player like Devers making that kind of money and saying what he said about not willing to help the team, and they look at him and they say, that's it. Leader? Forget it. You're not even someone I want to talk to. You're not someone I want to be around. Who would do that? And if you think that player-on-player feeling doesn't exist, then you have not been inside a clubhouse, because publicly the players are all defending each other and say, no, everything's great. You get inside a clubhouse, there are more cliques, there is more disagreement, there is more lack of love than you would know. Like marriages in a bedroom, try to keep it in there. How does it end with Devers? I got an idea. Craig Breslow, smart guy, smart. he's going to figure out over the next year or two what he can do with Devers, because he's going to realize quickly that allocating that sort of money to a player like that is not actually going to help them win a championship. And while I do have them winning the pennant this year, which almost guarantees they won't, I can certainly tell you that, in my opinion, that they are going to move on from him in whichever way they possibly can, whether that is via trade, whether that is via designating for assignment. He is not going to be a Red Sox through the rest of his contract, which goes through the end of 2033. NGTH, not going to happen. It's shameful what Devers did. I'm going to talk about the game last night that I watched. There hadn't been one NBA game on in quite a while, maybe since the playoffs started. One game last night, 8:30 Eastern. It was great to see A-Rod up and cheering. The Timberwolves were able to crush the Warriors 117-93. The thing that interested me most about this game is what happened after this game. During the game, it was Minnesota basically had control the whole time. The Warriors cut it to 7 at some point, but yada, yada, yada. The Timberwolves tied the series. They had to win game 2 at home, although I would have said that about the Cavs. I would have said that about the Celtics. But be that as it may, they had to. So that's funny. The 2 Western Conference series, the home team, obviously all 4 home teams lost game 1. The 2 Western Conference home teams, OKC and Minnesota, won their game 2. And the 2 Eastern Conference home teams, Boston and Cleveland, lost their game 2. Interesting. Anthony Edwards was hurt in the first half, came back. There was a whole thing. But I was very focused on Draymond Green and what happened when he picked up his 5th technical foul for what he thought was a regular within the confines of the game. But he really did raise his elbow while trying to get clearance against Naz Reid. I would tell you to go back and look at video. We had 2 players on the Knicks in the 90s who were specialists in this, and it was Charles Oakley and Anthony Mason. And back then, there was Pat Riley would talk about, hey, get the rebound, establish your space, get the ball out, and start moving down the court. And to establish your space, when your elbows are out, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see this. If you're listening, my elbows are basically out at an angle that is straight above the neck, basically. Although, imagine short people, you can never do that. I just thought of that, Coca. Short players can never get a flagrant foul for an elbow to the head because, like, I couldn't reach. Do you think Jalen Brunson can reach the head of Draymond Green? I mean, maybe. But after the game, so Draymond Green got a technical. He goes crazy. And it was sort of unclear what was happening because during that game as well, he was riding the bike, staying hot. And apparently someone in Minnesota used a racial slur toward him. Somebody told on that person, thank you for doing that. I will never understand how anyone believes that using a racial slur against anyone is tolerable against an athlete where you are paying to watch the skill, talent, and beauty of that athlete. It's shameful. It's shameful under all scenarios, obviously ridiculous. But this fan gets ejected. Draymond Green is less than happy, as he should be. This fan will never go to an NBA game again, which he or she or they should not be allowed to. But after the game, Draymond Green talked about his on-court persona and how people view him.
An angry black man. I'm not an angry black man. I'm a very successful, educated black man with a great family. And I'm great at basketball. I'm great at what I do. The agenda to try to keep making me look like an angry black man is crazy. I'm sick of it. It's ridiculous.
Well, that didn't seem altogether pleasant to me. And I would only say that I've never drawn a correlation between ability to do your job, ability to be a good father, and ability to not be angry. I've not viewed those as directly correlated. There are plenty of people who are not good at their job who are angry. There are plenty of people who are good at their job who are not angry. I understand that there is, and I first learned about this, 45 years ago, when in elementary school, we were spoken to about the concept of an angry black man. And I never really understood because I viewed angry white men all the time in my life. So I wasn't exactly understanding of that concept. And I'm not talking about it because I can't. I'm obviously not speaking as a black person here. I'm just trying to understand what Draymond is saying. When you look at Draymond, I don't look and say, oh, there's an angry black man. I say there's an angry man. And what would make me think he's angry? Well, I don't know. 10 years of video. Never met the guy. Don't know him as a father. Don't forget, this is the guy who in the middle of a practice went and punched a teammate in the face. I don't know exactly what the word I would use to describe. Unhinged? Is that a better way to call it? When you're one tech away, is that what he is, Coca? Is he one tech away from being suspended, 2 technicals away, and maybe 1 flagrant? There's a way that they calculate if you have too many techs or too many flagrants, you actually get suspended for a game. And so maybe lack of patience, maybe frustration tolerance, whatever you want to say, he's got an issue and everybody knows it. And if you don't want to be self-aware, and hi, my name's David, I am the king of not being self-aware, you'd be best not to say things about yourself in public that can be proven otherwise. And funny enough, that's not the biggest problem the Warriors have in a series where they went to Minnesota and got the split. They got exactly what they were supposed to get. The biggest problem is not even Steph Curry and his hamstring, which, by the way, he acknowledged yesterday, Coco, what we said on the show. This is not a one-day injury. He said he'll reevaluate after a week. But no, he's done for the playoffs. And you don't mess around with hamstrings. You just don't. And so he won't. The biggest problem the Warriors have is Jimmy Butler. And this is not Miami guy talking, because I'm a New York guy. This is not me being anti-Jimmy Butler saying, no, you didn't do it for the Heat, and you know that I'm anti-Jimmy Butler because all he does is burn every bridge. All he does is ruin every team he's ever been on. Now, he did have a nice run with the Heat, but no rings. Listen to what Jimmy Butler said after this game yesterday.
A burden or expectation. I don't. I play basketball the right way. I will continue to play basketball the right way. If that time comes where, you know, you're people that are saying whatever, supposed to score 40 or 43, whatever the case may be, I'm capable of it. I can do it. But I love making sure that my guys are comfortable, passing the ball to them, taking the right shots at the right time. But we'll talk about it. If that may be needed, who knows?
I'm really glad you love to make sure your guys are comfortable and that you're taking care of them. But hello, you're the number one and only option on offense. As much as I love Spencer Tracy, I'm just suggesting to you that maybe, just maybe, you'd want to try to score to try to help your team. But you may say that going 6 for 13 with 17 points is an acceptable game in the absence of Steph Curry. And I would say if there were ever a time to score 40 or 43 points, let me know when it is, because I think it's just about right now. And to meet the media after a game and say, hey, this was the right game. This was good. Let me just compare. Buddy Hield took one more shot than Jimmy Butler. And Kuminga took 2 fewer shots. And Draymond Green even took 10 shots. I'm going to suggest, if I'm Steve Kerr breaking down the video, that I'm going to want Butler taking twice as many shots as Draymond Green. Call me crazy, but at least twice as many shots in order to have a shot to even try to win this game or win the series, just win another game. And I don't really understand. That would be like a baseball player after a World Series game. Listen, or let's put it in the division series. Listen here. I mean, I love my guys, and I don't need to get hits because I want them to get theirs. It's ridiculous. The Warriors are finished, Coca. They're just finished. You should have known that when you got Butler, but you had this great run of regular season wins, and then you assumed the playoff Jimmy would appear, except playoff Jimmy, it's no more. It was a fabric of your imagination. When we come back, we're going to review a movie that I told you I'd review, and then we get to talk about the Pope. There's nothing better than a 65-inch Jewish guy talking about the new Pope and how this happened, Coca. It's like a dream come true. There is an intersection between the conclave and the cozy confines. No way. You'll hear about it after the break. Hi. That caught me by surprise. Thank you. Although if you're listening to this, you don't know that I just wiped my stash of a little few beads of sweat. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy your weekend. Be careful out there. We still have 20 more minutes together this week, and we'll be back Monday, 8 a.m. as we always are. Please subscribe, Nothing Personal with David Samson on YouTube. And also listen. I watched a movie at the suggestion of my mom, who gives me a lot of movie suggestions, like all of you do. I keep my list of all movies. When she suggests movies, I try to watch them because she knows my taste. There's a movie called The Penguin Lessons. It stars Steve Coogan and Jonathan Pryce. This is a movie that has a penguin in it, that's true. And you would think that it's a silly movie because Steve Coogan is actually a really good actor, but really funny. And you would think, oh, this seems like a comedy. It's not a comedy. This is a true story about a teacher at a boys' school in Buenos Aires in the 1970s. What you may not remember in the 70s in Argentina, there was something called a COUP. And the result of a COUP is people becoming PRISONERs. It's not good when you are becoming a prisoner or when you are killed. There's still actually 30,000 people who were disappeared in this coup in Argentina, a military coup, a coup led by... Coups are bad. Very, very bad. This man found a penguin in an oil slick, saved the penguin. The penguin became part of his teaching of these kids in this boys' school, surrounded by absolute military insanity and death and destruction. And these boys learned a lot from the penguin. So it's a feel-good sort of Dead Poets Society sort of movie, except the undercurrent is a coup. And so while I wanted to enjoy the movie and the story of the penguin and the impact the penguin had on not just the teacher, but also the students and the principal, it's a feel-good story in that way. But it felt icky to me that I was meant to feel good when I really should be feeling, I cannot believe that we are only 50 years removed from that type of behavior. Wait a minute. I can't believe that we are 5 minutes removed from that type of behavior. It is a sobering thing to think about. It is a movie worth watching as long as you're willing to think. If you are, you'll enjoy it. If you're not, skip it. I'm going to take a drag right now. This is an homage to Stu Gatz. A little drag of a little doob. Out comes white smoke. Couldn't believe it, day 2. I thought that was really way too soon to elect a pope because I'd just seen Conclave where all sorts of stuff happens. There's all sorts of intrigue, and it takes days to figure out multiple ballots, multiple black smoke, and then boom, out of nowhere, I got an alert that there's a new pope. All right, I was in a meeting, or I was actually in some sort of photo shoot. More on that another moment. And I got an alert when I could look at my phone again that said white smoke. There's a pope. I had totally forgotten that the previous Pope Francis was elected on day 1. Totally forgot. So for me, it felt like out of 200 and whatever, 67 previous popeses, that it would not happen this quickly. Then I found out it's an American pope. And I had done a little reading, a little scouting. I've got a few Catholic friends that I was able to speak to, all of whom were closer to this than I, although, frankly, anybody would be closer to this than I. I didn't see any odds. I didn't see anything. I had heard that there could be a pope from the Philippines, and I was thinking just what we need, Pablo to have a pope. Maybe Pablo was the pope. You saw a picture of Donald Trump. Maybe he's the pope. Maybe it's a pope from South America first time. We just didn't know. It didn't even occur to me. And this is a failing of mine as a Jewish person. I didn't realize that there could be an American Pope. For whatever reason, it didn't compute to me because there had never been one. So I assumed that's it. And I must tell you, it's the same thing I think about a woman Pope. It's not that I wouldn't be in favor of a woman Pope. I'm not against a woman Pope. It makes no difference to me, but it just is something that in my mind doesn't happen. So then I find out that it's an American Pope, and I'm thinking, oh, that's insane. Most Americans don't speak 10 languages. I can't even imagine how anyone has the gravitas to be a Pope from America. I just don't associate it. I view popes as like they've lived overseas and in Europe for 300 years or 2,000 years. And then I saw this picture on the Intergoogle. Coca's putting up a picture of this Pope, this can't be, at a White Sox game. And I was thinking, wait, is this just like a father from a church in US? He's the one on the upper left on the phone. That is the Pope. And the reason why it's such an interesting picture that someone found is that that's 2005, except the day started with everybody thinking that this Pope was a Cubs fan because he was from Chicago. Wrigley Field released a board, the famous Wrigley Field, home of the Chicago Cubs outside billboard, said he's a Cubs fan, talking about the Pope, because that was the rumor. But then the brother of the Pope, who's this guy that you would see at Walmart, he's just an ordinary guy named John Prevost, just living his best life. He gets interviewed because all of a sudden his brother is the Pope and says, sorry, not a Cubs fan. He's a White Sox fan. And I was thinking, hold on. Did the White Sox with the Jewish owner, Jerry Reinsdorf, just take something away from Ricketts, Mr. MAGA Ricketts family, owner of the Cubs, who were about to get the Pope as a Cubs fan? And now the Pope's a White Sox fan? It can't be. The White Sox haven't beaten the Cubs in anything since 2005. And then think about this. The Pope goes to a game in 2005. They win the World Series. He's not a Pope. He's just a guy. Now he's the freaking Pope. Then I find out it just keeps going. He graduated from Villanova. I just assumed popes didn't go to college in the U.S. I don't know if it's the first Pope to ever graduate from a U.S. college. I didn't do the research. But it just struck me as strange. And if you're going to be a Pope that goes to college in the U.S., I would assume he'd go to Notre Dame, not to Villanova. It's like saying, oh, yeah, the Pope went to yeshiva. It just doesn't make sense to me. This guy was Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost. He's now Pope Leo XIV. He is going to go to a baseball game as the Pope. It's the greatest thing that ever happened to Major League Baseball. There's never been a Pope to go to a baseball game. Well, this guy went in 2005, but he wasn't the Pope. If I'm Pope Leo XIV, the first thing I want to do is get to the United States, and I would get to a baseball game. And if I'm the Chicago White Sox, I've already made an invitation to Vatican City. Dear Mr. Pope, Your Honor, we would be honored to host you at any game you want. We've got plenty of seats. Also, while you're here, would it kill you to meet with the state legislature? Would it kill you to put in a good word for a new stadium for the White Sox? I'm just throwing it out there. And by the way, not for nothing, if you could help get us better carriage deals on the RSN, that would be terrific. And if you have time, you may want to help Kevin Warren get a deal done for the Chicago Bears, because I assume you're going to be a Bears fan too. It's the opportunities are endless. What we can do when we know we've got the Pope on our side, and the White Sox go out and lose 10-0 last night. I would assume they'd never lose again. How long would it take for a Pope just to say, my prayer here, God, if you have time, the White Sox got to win 90. After that, whatever you want. I'm not saying we're going to cure homelessness. I'm not saying that we're going to make world peace. I'm not saying we're going to have a great situation in the U.S., but we'd like the White Sox to win a quick 90. It's so good. I mean, what's it really going to be like? You know my story of growing up on 72nd and Madison in New York City and the Pope coming to New York, Pope John Paul, and stays across the street and what it meant when the Pope was there. It was like it was bigger than a president. It was bigger than UN week. It's the Pope, and I'm not even a Pope guy, but I sort of am, because you just look at the Pope and you're saying it's just the power, the spirituality, the commitment. The White Sox? Can you imagine for when? I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of all these funny things in my head right now. Do you think that the White Sox marketing department is getting together and they're going to Jerry Reinsdorf and saying, listen, right after Shul, we want to go through our giveaway schedule for next year, and we think we should do a Pope Leo the 14th bobblehead? I'm kidding. Oh, Coca, we're going to get canceled for being disrespectful to the Pope and to the papacy, the Pope. Nothing personal pick of the day. There's no way to, how do you transition from that? What do you want me to do? I tell people to watch Keeping the Faith with Ben Stiller and Ed Norton. I could do that. Were you worried when we had the Phillies over the Rays when Luzardo pitched well, but the bullpen gave it up and the Phillies were down 5-1? Did you think we were going to lose that game? No. Phillies came back to win in 10, 7-6. Bingo. Were you worried when the T-Wolves were giving 10.5 and you said, wow, the Warriors are making a comeback? Were you worried? I wasn't. 2-0 last night. We are 54-58. Is that right, Coco? Were we 52-58 going into last night? If so, we are 54-58. And I've got 2 weekend picks for you. One, get ready. Tonight is Corbin Day. This one's a little rough. 2 things about Corbin Day. Number one, Corbin's been pitching way better for the Texas Rangers. The good news is for us, the Rangers can't score. Literally, they cannot score. Their offense is terrible. So they're going against the best pitcher in the American League, the reigning Cy Young winner, who's going for back-to-back CYs. Scooble's minus 270 over Corbin. It's heavy. It's so heavy, Coca. But don't you worry. You know why? Because it's Corbin Day. Now let's talk about tomorrow's game. Hottest ticket in the world, Coca. Did you see it? Celtics Knicks. It's a higher get-in price. I always love this when we give stats on the get-in price, which is, well, you can ask a friend for a ticket, get free ticket. You can go with someone who has season tickets, and your get-in price is $0. Maybe the cost $2.90 to get on the subway to get to the Garden. You can go on Game Time, get the best prices ever. Go to the Garden tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Here's the situation the Celtics are in. 15% of teams down 2-0 on the road win the series. That's it. So they've got an 85% chance of losing this series. That 85% goes to 100 if they lose tomorrow. Because in the NBA, the number of teams who have come back from down 3-0 to win a series, wait for it, it's as many times as I've taken a major league at bat. And I'm not Adam Greenberg. 0. You don't come back. Now, the people in Boston are going to say, I don't agree with you, David, because it's always 0 until it happens. And when it happens, then it can be done. The Boston Red Sox were down 3-0 to the Yankees in 2004, and Meadowlark made a whole series on Netflix about it called The Comeback. Because, David, comebacks can happen. It's not a 0% chance. It's maybe 0.001. Fine. I don't really understand that. I actually believe that it is 0 until it happens, and then it's more than 0. Or if something can happen and there's a chance it can happen, by definition, it can't be a 0. I think the only thing that is a 0 is that today is Thursday. I guess that's a 0% chance. The Knicks are getting 5 points from the Celtics in what is an absolute must-win. We're taking the points. The Knicks have been a bad home team. The problem with this Game 3, and the Pacers are going to have it as well when they're home for their Game 3, if you let the Celtics win Game 3 on the road, you have a problem in the series. And right now, you feel like you don't. And it's very much a game 7 tomorrow at the Garden, because if the Knicks win, the series is over. If the Celtics win, there's a good chance the series is over. I think that Thibs is going to have it. We're taking the Knicks, Coca. That's my final decision. And one of the reasons that we're taking the Knicks is that there was a lot of media yesterday that the coach of the Celtics, Joe Mazzulla. They had Jason Tatum meet the media. They just had a lot of people talking. Mazzulla spoke about Porzingis, about Jason Tatum. He talked about winning. Listen to what he said about needing to win this game 3.
Go into Saturday's game and win the game. That's just the way it is. We have to win. We have to win. We have to do what it takes to win. And we have to put ourselves in position to do that. And it's going to be a tall task, but we're ready for it. And there's no better people I'd rather do it with than the guys in the locker room and our staff.
Well, thank God there's no one you'd rather do it with, because that's who you have to do it with. I don't understand the talking point of we have to put ourselves in position to win. I think when you go to Center Square for tip-off at 3:36 p.m. tomorrow, you're sort of in position to win. I think that you got to think about your game, though, and think about your game plan, and think about whether you want to keep shooting 25% from 3, and think about whether or not your team is going to continue to have these open looks when instead they should be trying to drive to the basket, as we spoke about 2 days ago after the game, or it wasn't yesterday, whenever we did a show talking about game 2, and we were in disbelief that they shot what they have shot from 3 and how they did not make the proper adjustment. I would argue the biggest issue that the Celtics have is their superstar. If your superstar, Jason Tatum, does not play like a superstar, it's hard to win in the NBA. It's hard to win with the fourth quarters that Tatum has had. It's hard to win with his lack of ability to shoot the ball successfully. He should be going way more toward the hoop. Tatum spoke about what his plan was, and I got zero comfort in what he said.
Earlier, I take full ownership on the way that I've played in this series. And can't sugarcoat anything. I need to be better. And, I expect to be a lot better.
Jay and then Adam.
Boy, with that level of enthusiasm, I can't imagine who doesn't think that he's going to be better. I want my guys coming out, meeting the media in between game 2 and 3 when you're down 2-0. I want you to meet the media. I want you to take the microphone. I want you to look right in there and do something that I'd laugh at. But do it. Say, we're winning this series. We are going to go into New York and do to them what they did to us. We are going to suck the life out of Madison Square Garden. We're going to make those celebrities eat cake, Marie. We're going to do anything we have to do, and we're going to start by getting better shots right off the bat. We're not going to settle. We're not going to see whether we're feeling it or not. We're going to ease into it. Instead, it just, and this is not me criticizing his personality at all. It's just me saying, and his quote went on. He said, guys work really hard on their game and their craft and prepare to be in those moments to hit open shots, and it just hasn't happened in the last 2 games, blah, blah, blah. No, you have to have a different mentality. The coach looked like a deer in headlights. Jason Tatum sounded, you want to sound confident. You want to seem calm, but you want to be forceful. You want to make sure that the opponent understands you're not rolling over. That just because you lost 2 at home, it doesn't matter. That you are prepared. Just because we blew 2 20-point leads, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to look in the camera and say, we had 2 20-point leads. And I can assure you that this time we're going to close. And instead of letting 20 go to 0, we're going to have 20 go to 40. I want you to say anything you want. Now, the Celtics can go ahead and say that. But is it going to happen? We're taking the Knicks +5. And on top of that, we're going to do a wait to see to end the week, Coca. Wait to see when we tell you something's going to happen. And you go to davidsamsonpodcast.com and keep track of all of the wait to sees. Joe Mazzulla is going to become the next coach who won a title to get fired almost immediately. He's going to join Budenholzer and Frank Vogel and Ty Lue and Nick Nurse because the Celtics did win the title last year. But when the Celtics get eliminated by the Knicks and the Celtics are in such business trouble over the apron next year, as are the Cavs, Joe Mazzulla is going to get fired. Wait to see. Do you know only 3 coaches have won titles and survived more than 3 years past their title in the past 10 years? Popovich, Spoelstra, and Steve Kerr. Great, great, and great. That's it. Every other coach with the title has been fired. And Joe Mazzulla is not Pops, Spoelstra, or Kerr. He's way closer to Lou and Vogel and Nurse. You just wait to see. And that firing is going to be very, very easy. You're just going to walk in and very calmly just say, hey, it's just business. This is nothing personal.